Today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to show you my top 10 favorite Canadian albums. So stay tuned. Hey, Ivana community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to do a topic that is wildly popular. No, it's not. I've done a lot of videos on Canadian music, and generally they're the ones that get watched the least. But that's okay. Canadian music is the thing I'm passionate about. So there's a channel out there called This Sonic Obsession, two guys by the name of John and Steve. I just discovered that channel this week. I was on a live stream with Rachel's Ghost. We were on a live stream with Glenn Calloway, and this topic happened to come up that she had done a video for these guys that they were doing a thread on their top 10 favorite Canadian albums. So of course, I'm a vinyl record guy, I'm a passionate Canadian who talks way too much about Canadian music. So I had to do a response. So that's what I'm going to do today. My video might be slightly different. It would be very easy for me to talk about the band, Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, Rush, the Guess Who, and on and on. But I'm not going to. I like all those artists, don't get me wrong. I have stuff by all of them. But I'm not going to talk about them today, because everyone that does a video about the best Canadian records or their favorite Canadian records, that's what they get. That's who gets talked about. So I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to do my top 10 favorite Canadian albums by bands that I absolutely love that you might not have heard of. I'm not trying to be purposely obscure. It's just there's so much good music that doesn't get heard, over the massive torrent of sound, shall I say, that comes out of the United States. And I think some of these artists are just as deserving of accolades that they don't get because they're here. So I want to talk about those artists. And John and Steve brought up in their video that, is there such a thing as the Canadian sound? I think there absolutely is. But I don't know if that might be a topic for another video. But anyway, I'm going to get into my top 10. I'm going to start with number 10 and work my way through. Number 10 is Alana Miles' self-titled album. Now, this album goes all the way back to 1989. I was 11. This album was her debut. It was a major label release. It was a success in Canada. It won a Juno, I believe. It won a Grammy in the US for, I think it was Best Female Rock Performance for the song Black Velvet. Most people probably know that. It was actually number one on the Billboard Hot 100 for like 10 weeks. Amazing record. There were a couple other hits, at least here in Canada, beyond Black Velvet. Love Is, Rock This Joint, Lover of Mine, Kickstart My Heart. I mean, that's half the album, but those were all hits on the radio up here in Canada, at least. Her follow-up album, which was called Rocking Horse, she was nominated for a Grammy, but didn't win. And I think, Alana Miles is still out there performing today. I think she was kind of a victim of her success. I don't want to say one-hit wonder because she did get the Grammy nomination for Rocking Horse, but really the only song everyone knows is Black Velvet. But I don't want to dismiss this album because it's a one-hit wonder. This is a great late 80s rock record, start to finish. It's great. So I'm going to put this at number 10. Number 9 is a band from Toronto called The Heartbroken. This is their second album called Storm Clouds, which came out in 2016. Their first album, I want to say, came out around 2010, something like that. This band, is fronted by Davnit Doyle, who is a singer-songwriter. I think she lives in Toronto. She had a successful solo career starting in the late 90s. She had some sort of early Much Music hits. Her solo album, Hyper Dramatic, which came out around 2000, had a moderate hit on there called Tattooed. There's a few other musicians on this record that have played in various other Canadian bands and done session work, whatever. This is a rock record, a little rootsy, but it's I would call it a rock record. I mean, there's no hits on here. There's nothing that you probably would have heard. It's just nice contemporary electric guitar rock. I guess Storm Clouds was the single, the title track. I wish I could play a sample of this so you could hear it, but if any of these artists have YouTube channels, I'll leave links to them in the description so you can check them out. But just a great contemporary electric sort of rock and roll album. The Heartbroken, Storm Clouds. Number 8. I don't have this on vinyl, so there's a couple of these I have to show on CD. I'm not a big fan of the CD format. This is an absolutely outstanding band from Saskatoon called One Bad Son. This is their third album from 2012. It's their self-titled release. This is actually an advanced promo copy. They made less than 100 of these. I wish it would come out on vinyl. It apparently will, because I've heard from Kurt Dahl, the drummer, that they are working on this on vinyl. One hell of a rock record. So this wasn't getting any radio airplay when it came out. So the band, what they decided to do was just show up at radio stations and just play their song Scarecrows live. And it worked. They actually ended up touring across Canada. And then Retribution Blues, which is a song that I think is phenomenal, ended up being like a top 10 radio hit in Canada for a number of weeks. This is nice, loud rock and roll. I don't really know what to equate it to. I guess it's like, I don't even know if this is a great description. I would say it's kind of like the Foo Fighters meets Mike Campbell's Dirty Knobs. Number 7 is a band that I've talked about on my channel a lot, and I would love to do an entire video just about this band. This is Whitehorse. This is their debut album from 2011. It's their self-titled release. Quick background, Whitehorse is husband and wife Luke Doucette and Melissa McClelland. They are both members of Sarah McLachlan's band. They also had very successful solo careers outside of Sarah McLachlan's band before forming Whitehorse. Luke put out one of my favorite albums called Luke Doucette and the White Falcon. They decided that since they were touring with each other that they might as well form a band, and they have, Whitehorse. These guys just signed to 6 Shooter Records in Toronto, my favorite label. They have put out, I think, 6 or 7 albums now. The next one comes out in January. The interesting thing about these guys is every genre is different. This is kind of their electric folk record, and then they had a rock record, and then they had a psychedelic record, and the next one that comes out is their country record. And they can pull it off because they're incredibly versatile musicians, but they take each of those genres and still give it that White Horse sound. I love this. Killing Time is Murder was the song that was the single off here. It's amazing. Passenger 24 was a reworking of one of Melissa's songs, but it's a great rocker. Broken is a reworking of one of Luke's older songs. I'm on Fire is a Springsteen cover. Just a fantastic, I would call it, electric folk record. White Horse, self-titled. Number 6 is an album that's not available on vinyl. I wish that it was. I have requested that the artist do it, but not that they've ever responded to my query on social media. Melanie Doan, Adam's Rib. This was from 1998. This was, I think it was her debut album. It might have been her second album. Had a couple hits in here. Adam's Rib, obviously. Goliath. I think Happy Homemaker was the other single. This is late 90s, much music, video-friendly female rock and roll. It's exactly what you think it would sound like. But it's amazing. Melanie Doan is a great singer, a great performer. She plays guitar, but she's also a fiddle player. So she infuses that late 90s radio-friendly rock with fiddle. And it works so damn well. Phenomenal record. Wish it was on vinyl. Melanie nowadays lives in Toronto, and she teaches. She has a ukulele school, which I think is great because she wants to make music accessible to kids, and the ukulele is a great, affordable instrument to do that. So hats off to her. I just wish this would come out on vinyl at some point. Melanie Doan, Adam's Rib. Number 5. I've mentioned this artist many times on my channel. I don't know if I've ever shown this record. Matt Mays. For a long time, I said Matt Mays is making the best rock and roll in Canada. This is his album, Coyote, which was released in 2012. This won a Juno for Rock Album of the Year. It is awesome, crunchy, loud rock and roll. Matt started 2004, I think, somewhere around there. Released his self-titled debut. Then he and his band El Torpedo put out a couple albums. Then El Torpedo broke up. Some of the members stayed with him. A few more releases. I saw Matt on this tour at Hamilton Place 2 nights before, tragically, Jay Smith, his guitar player, took his own life in a hotel room. I was standing 3 feet in front of Jay in the front row. What a sad night. I met Matt at this show. Amazing rock record. There are some great sort of loud ballads, some great rockers on here. Indio was the single, and it's kind of like a foot tapping upbeat song. Ain't That the Truth, Take It on Faith, just incredible anthemic rock songs. How do I say it? If you like the Tragically Hip, which I don't, I know that's very un-Canadian, you'll like this. He's more rock than they are, but that's not a big leap to get from them to him. So Matt Mays, Coyote. Number 4 is a band I have a long history with. This is Dustin Bentall, or this incarnation was the Dustin Bentall outfit, and this is his album 6 Shooter. If the name Bentall sounds familiar to Canadian music fans, it should. Dustin's father is Barney Bentall from Barney Bentall and the Legendary Hearts. It was a rock band in the early 90s that had a couple hits. It Could Be Worse and Something to Live For, I think, were the two big ones. So this is Dustin's second album from 2009. How I discovered him was he opened for Blue Rodeo. And I met him after the show. Actually signed the album for me. And Dustin and I are casual acquaintances. I know him. This is a outstanding stoner rock with a tinge of country, is how I would describe it. It's amazing. So you've got Dustin Bentall. The girl you see in the foreground is Kendall Carson, also a friend of mine. She was his girlfriend at the time, is not anymore. She's an incredible fiddle player, arguably the best fiddle player in Canada. She's currently a member of Alan Doyle from Great Big Sea. She's in his band and has been for almost a decade now. Del Cowsill is on here. He's also a friend of mine, of the legendary family, the Cowsills. His father was Billy Cowsill. This is just a really outstanding, like I said, stoner rock with a tinge of country. The big hit off of here is a song called 3,000 Miles, and it was the only one that Dustin didn't write. It was written by Corn Raymond, who is a songwriter from Toronto. But everyone that comes to a Dustin Bentall show knows 3,000 Miles. But what an incredible song. I always thought the guitar work on this album was amazing. And then I read the liner notes. Well, of course it is. Remember that band Whitehorse that I just talked about? Luke Doucette plays all the guitar parts on this album. So incredible. Stoner rock, Dustin Bentall, 6-shooter. Number 3. This is an album that just came out a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it is already my third favorite Canadian album. Skye Wallace, Terribly Good. It's more than terribly good. Friggin' amazing. 6-shooter Records, again, my favorite label. This is an incredible rock record. Tooth and Nail, which is the first song, and I think it was the first single, really reminds me of Barracuda by Heart. Incredible, powerful female vocalist, Skye Wallace. Loud, crunchy guitars. It sounds like a Gibson SG, but I could be wrong on that. But it's that crunchy guitar sound, powerful guitar, riffs. There's a second song in here called The Doubt, which is still a rock song, but it's a sort of a poppier rock song, and I can't get it out of my head. There's a song, the only non-rock song on here is a song called Keeper, and it's kind of a ballad. It's two female vocal harmonies, Skye and somebody else, and a lone electric guitar, no effects, just very sparse, and it's magical. This whole album is incredible. If you like sort of that Heart kind of sound, Skye Wallace, phenomenal. Number 2, an album I've talked about a lot because I think this guy is my favorite musician in Canada, Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin is the guitar player for Matt Mays, who I showed a few minutes ago. This is his 2019, I guess technically it's an EP, it's only 6 tracks. It's called No Rest for the Wicked. Incredibly powerful Telecaster rock. It's very dark thematically. It's kind of about Adam hitting rock bottom and coming to grips with his behavioral tendencies, I guess, and coming out of that to be a better person. And god damn, it's amazing. Half a Mind is incredible. Salvation is just a balls to the wall rock song. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's Adam's hero is Bruce Springsteen, and that really shows. On his first EP, the band used to call him the supervisor because he wasn't quite the boss. Get it? Yeah. Um, Springsteen-esque rock and roll, but it's certainly Adam is from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, so it's kind of a Nova Scotia twist on Springsteen rock. So Adam Baldwin, No Rest for the Wicked. And lastly, number one, an album I've showed many times because it's my favorite Canadian album of all time. This is Blue Rodeo, The Days in Between. I have so much love for Blue Rodeo. As any regular viewer of my channel will know, I talk about them incessantly. I love this band for a whole bunch of reasons, but I won't get into it on this video. This is their 2000 release, The Days in Between. An album that doesn't get a lot of love. The band hates it. The band doesn't play it ever. I know that because I know many of the people in the band. This was recorded in New Orleans with Trina Shoemaker. It's a slightly different Blue Rodeo album, less reliant on sort of pedal steel, and it's more just sort of Telecaster grandpa rock, as I want to call it. But I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I love this. There were a couple radio hits on here. Somebody Waits was the first one, then the title track Days in Between, and then I think Always Getting Better. Great Blue Rodeo record, but one that sadly gets forgotten just because the band never plays anything off of it. So I love it. There you go, John and Steve. I hope you enjoyed my take on favorite Canadian albums. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please check out This Sonic Obsession. I'll leave a link in the description. Show those guys some love. They make incredible videos and very knowledgeable guys that put me to shame. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Catch you on the flip side.